Welcome back to Archean, episode 8 of the Cargo Challenge. In this video, during certain segments where I'm just doing construction or maybe jumping in the water to fill up my suit canister, I'm going to speed those up to 5x. So all of a sudden, like right now, you notice it's kind of fast. And the actual construction sequences will be at normal speed. So I'm sort of like counting these little block areas I have, and I need to figure out where the center point is so I can build a little bridge across the two pontoons for the catamaran and build up and around. That'll give me some, what I need is some room so I can put the cargo container underneath, more or less, the catamaran and kind of hang it above the water. And that'd be the same area where I'll put the seat and computer controls and whatnot there. Thinking I probably could have made the pontoons larger, but it is what it is now. Not going to have a lot of weight on here, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's hard to, you got to keep that mouse. I'm trying to get back far enough so I can make a large chunk. And I mean, it makes the game slightly more optimized to have a larger chunk versus larger block area versus 2. But of course you can overdo that. There, I'm trying to get that middle one the same. And making those larger sections, you zoom out and trying to keep the mouse at that starting location. Now, some places where I do construction, I don't do a lot, just a couple odds and ends. I won't speed that up, like here. Keep that construction going while I'm building. All right, so I got my basic platform here. I'm going to need some batteries, so we're going to steal these. And we need to make some more. And we'll remove the wires first. Okay, so this, I'm going to start off with 5 batteries. I'm going to have 2 batteries per pontoon. 1 battery on the pontoon operates the front wheels and propeller, and the one on the back operates the rear wheel and propeller. And then the one in the middle will operate the computer and computer, the routers, any lights, anything like that. We own that one. Now with this flat surface here, I can put solar panels on there too. Not there, but on the top of the pontoons, get a little extra power coming in. Okay, so I got the wheels on my pontoons. I'm putting them right at the corner so I can kind of roll the goals, how to roll up on the shore if I'm in the water. So one of my, we'll call it challenge goals, is to build this craft, drive over, pick up the cargo, lift it up, go into the water, cruise over to the location without reconstructing the vehicle, in transit. So for example, when I put the props on, I'm going to put the props on using tracks, and they'll be in an upper raised position, so they'll have tracks and pivots, and they'll be raised up. And then once I go in the water, I can lower them into the water, so they'll be deep into the water. And then once I get to my destination, For example, I can pull up the front ones, drive up a little bit, and once I got some grip, go ahead and lift the rear ones, and should be able just to drive up like that. What I don't want to do is like go into the water and then mount the props underneath the ship and then cruise to the location and remove the props, type thing. Now some of the lifting and the lowering, I may just use the V command to do those manually. This is sort of a temporary ship for the challenge, so I don't want to get too fancy with it. If I had to build a more permanent catamaran, I think we'll call this a learning experience, and I think I'd do something different. If it was for the cargo, I would probably build a tri-cam, hull in the middle and two on the ends, two on the sides. Yeah, so this is the first sort of ship thing I built, so I'm kind of figuring this out as I go along. So might be overdoing the routers a little bit, so I'll put a router on, or a mini router on this side and one on the other side, and so this will operate all the components on this pontoon. And in this case, we will tap off. So I think I might say something incorrect. I will drive this mini router from this battery here, just because avoid running long lines across. And it uses so little power compared to the propulsion. It's not a big deal. As you note, I only use large batteries in this challenge because they're just too easy to make. I think in a survival scenario, they should require something a little more exotic to make the batteries, and so basically make the small batteries easy and cheap to make. But these larger batteries, or uber larger batteries, should make it a little more difficult. So I wouldn't be able to do this without going up to the mountains or in the ocean or something like that to find something or other to make the large batteries a little more of a challenge. But obviously survival mode is still something for the future, so I will assume that will make everything a bit more difficult. Yeah, the type of games I prefer is more the survival type things. Alright, so I'll go ahead and name all my wheels. So the wheel configuration will map the same as my little initial mining vehicle. And we're going to crank the suspension all the way up, since we're just going to be on flat terrain, and make sure we can deal with the weight. Might be too much. We can always make it lower. And the ones on the right will reverse. One interesting thing is the computer has you can swap out the hard drives. And I go, well, really, who's going to really do that? And then I came out with a scenario. I'm going to, because basically when I put the wheels on here and get it all wired up, it's basically a big car. So I'm going to grab the hard drive from the vehicle and just plug it in here. And since I have the wheels named the same, I do have to change the ports. So I need to start standardizing the ports for various things, like for example how the seat is connected or some common sensors are connected. In this case, I have it wired differently, but since I have those definitions at the beginning of the program, I just go ahead and change those real quickly, and boom, I have all that logic done without having to recode it. So that makes things a lot easier. I don't know if there's any way. Well, I guess I was thinking there's no way to copy a hard drive, but yes, there is. I can just go ahead, and clip the code in the clipboard, and then or copy it into the clipboard, and then go ahead and swap the drive, and then paste, create a new file and paste it in. So now when I'm in ocean mode, I will swap the drive. I'll have one drive or one hard drive for if I'm on land, and another drive when I'm in the water, the transition is going to be tricky. So basically, I think I can just push it up and then swap drives. So now I'm going to simplify, since this vehicle definitely floats and doesn't go into the water. It simplifies a lot of things. And I think I'm going to sort of emulate a vehicle in a way. So basically, we'll have 4 props, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, like our wheels. They will pivot, like wheels pivot for steering. And then they'll have a linear track to raise and lower. So then once they're lowered into the water, I'll swap a drive. And so basically it works almost the same as a car because, you know, the same steering effect will happen. So when I steer to the left or the right, you know, in the vehicle, the wheels move. In case of this, the props will move. So, you know, if I want to go to the right, the front props will move to the right and the rear props will move to the left. And then, you know, go left, go the opposite. You go forward, all props will go forward. You go backward, they all reverse. And so that makes, and it'll require a little bit of modifications, not much. I'll probably just, what I'll do in this case, I'll just make a copy. I'll copy the vehicle code to a clipboard and then paste it into a new hard drive. I'm staring at myself while I try to run these wires. And then just, you know, the prop side will have, because I have the steering and the actual propulsion are different components, because the propulsion are the props and the steering will be the pivots. And yeah, I should try to set the pivots up so they sort of emulate how the steering works. But I'll map that, figure that out. So that'll be pretty easy. So then, and I don't think I'm going to automate. We'll have to see. It's not too hard to automate. Have a toggle switch for one for the front, one for the back to raise or raise or lower the props. But we'll see how that goes. Because all it is setting a constant. You know, you want it up, you put it one number. You want it down, you put a different number. It's do it manually. Okay, so now I'm trying to do the other side. I think I'm spending a little too much time making it pretty. And it's amazing all the stuff I need. That's why I try to pre-build like plastic. You go through a lot of plastic. A lot of plastic for everything. That seems to be the biggest limitation for things. And of course, you know, jumping back in the water to get more hydrogen and oxygen. Now I could run these cables underneath. So I go in the drone mode and just go down and run it, all this stuff in the hull itself. And put the router down there, put all that junk down there. And I think in the future, I would build the pontoons a bit bigger, and initially I would keep them open, so I wouldn't bother closing them up until the end, and then go ahead and put all the junk and the batteries. So it'd be a little bit bigger so it could hold the batteries and all that junk on there. So the whole top of the surface would be clean. And then once it's all kind of set up, then I would enclose it and do the volume integrity scan, and then that would keep it sealed. If you put they have a docking door, and docking door will allow you to get through a volume area without causing a leak. And interesting that the docking door, you only need one. It sort of has a magical protection shield per se in the current versions. And so even if you're underwater, you build like a enclosed room, and you have the volume inside dry. You put a single door in there, open the door up, the water doesn't flow in, so you can just kind of walk through the door to get into one area to the other. I assume it's just a current limitation. So you don't need a double door or have pumps and all that complexity to get through if you have an underwater vehicle or a base or something. And the same with here. A lot of this stuff could be made into if I had the center hull on here, put a lot of junk in there. And with the top being cleaner, then you can just fill this whole top of the ship with solar panels. And so this computer was used from the submarine slash we'll call it a failed submarine slash air sled, and so it restarted the program, which is a little bit dangerous because now it's locked, so it's not going anywhere. But I wouldn't want it. Normally, you should probably disable that, keep it from accessing components and do something. At some point I go, I'll just go in here and disable that code a little bit. Things are different enough. Obviously I don't have anything called prop yet, so it's not going to interfere. Yeah, I can run that down inside the wall in drone mode. So it'd be all. Now, if you made the pontoons large enough, you could put a door on it, and then you kind of drop in there and do work in there. They don't have hatches. You have to go through. I'm not sure if you can mount the door. I don't know if you change the orientation of the door so it kind of goes up, down, so you can kind of make like a above hatch or not out of it, even though it looked kind of weird with a door there. Okay, now we're 5Xing this a little bit. Into the water we go, and back out. I realize, I can steal this. Yep, so I finally came up with a use of a hard drive. I should probably make another hard drive, copy that code, paste it in there, and leave the hard drive in there so I don't get in the vehicle and wonder why it doesn't run. Now, in theory, I can stick it there. Now, there's no way to, as far as I know, there's no way to put a name on these things yet. The label the drive so I know what's what. All right, so this is the code from before. And making sure. Now, the vehicle had a speed sensor for wheelies. I have a feeling that this thing will be kind of difficult to do a wheelie with. I could put it anywhere, it doesn't really matter where it's at, as long as it's attached to the vehicle. As I spend 10 minutes placing a speed sensor. Okay, close enough. Okay, so we have the pilot seat on 0. I'm just double checking what I have plugged into what, so I can go ahead and okay, we have 0 and port 10. Because it's weird, it says speed sensor on port 0. So what I meant is that one end of the cable is connected to the speed sensor, and on the speed sensor it's port 0, and the other ones on the computer are in port 10. All right, so the seat that's 10. And also important, I'll engage the brakes on the wheels. This will become important when I remove the anchoring and sort of the initial support structure underneath it, so it doesn't roll into the water when that'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it? Go ahead and pull it out and the whole thing just rolls into the water before I have props on it. Just kind of making sure they kind of work and they're steering. Okay, so we got a Catamaran with wheels. All right. Don't see that every day. Do the same. Now in the previous vehicle design, I didn't render anything on the screen. Well, we didn't have a screen. We just had a mini computer. So I figure since I using a computer monitor or computer now, I can put something on the monitor there. Right. So the speed is in meters per second, which I can display that, which means nothing to me. And this magic number puts it into kilometers per hour. But I don't typically work in kilometers per hour. So but doing a quick internet search on converting meters per second to miles per hour, we just multiply it by 2. Well, it's a very long number. I just rounded up to 2.23. Figure that's close enough for my purpose. I should probably use formatting so I don't have a bunch of decimal points after the speed. And I put the color in the wrong spot. And of course, I still have the extra color on the back of the line. Okay, so speed is 0 miles per hour expected. All right, so I think we got our little thing coded up and ready to go here. Kind of looking around. Now you notice it says brakes 1. Now because I'm out of the seat, I'm just checking to have brakes going on here because I don't want no have it roll into the water there. You know, use up all my wire. Wire goes pretty quickly. So you need plastic for wire. So you want to make a bunch of wires. I almost have to make a double batch of plastic because the batch of wire will use up all the plastic. And so all right, now we can get rid of this stuff. Now you actually, if I remove the anchor without unanchoring it, your build will be stuck. So you have to hit the switch first. Still being held up by the anchor here. Move the wire and then that and boom. And the brakes hold, and yeah. Suspension might be a little on the tough side, but there's not a lot of, it's kind of a long vehicle. I could have a make it 6 wheels. All right, bam. You know, it's amazing. It takes a lot to move. Like if I try to collide my little vehicle, it doesn't really move around. Now it has this brake. I was gonna say it has brake locks, but I took out the computer, so I wonder if they're still locked or not. Or maybe they're probably still locked. All right. Now you can see how what I want to do is back up. All right, so I'm doing this from the keyboard, not using controllers yet or joysticks yet, and this probably matches my real world driving backing up too. I need a backup camera. Probably should, can I invert my orientation? Yeah, I probably could invert my orientation so I look backwards, and that would make things easier. I'm looking forward now, but I can rotate. I should be able to rotate my look around, which I'm not doing. And of course, I can't only zoom out so far, so I can't see where the container is right now. So there it is. All right. So what I'm trying to do, I'm slide in here, and I don't want to hit them too hard. And this thing has a lot of oomph. I need to put the wheels have ability to have gearing, and I need like to put it in like low gear to slow down, or put something in there that's like put it in slow mode, like a switch that will divide all my inputs by 10 or something to really macro, control it. Okay, so we got that container. We're going to move two containers. One we'll do by ocean, and the second one we'll attempt to fly it over somewhere. And so this one, we're going to build a little platform. We're going to put a linear track unit and put a docking port on. So the goal is, and do some wiring, the goal is we'll kind of like lower it down so it gets close. I've not actually docked anything before, so I'm not sure how far it has to pull. To make it close, I could put another linear track going. I guess you could put 3 on there, so you can actually like a 3D printer and change it any orientation. So once you get close enough, you sort of like dial it in by moving it around and getting right on the spot. If I was building this, something I do multiple times, I might do something like that. That way you don't have to get the vehicle so perfect. You just kind of get it close, and then you use a three track system to kind of lock it in there. Now, centering components is always problematic. See, to the linear track unit, if you center it or use the X to offset it, then you can't add blocks to it. So it only works if you have it on a normal blocks orientation. So yeah, if I do this, then it's not possible to add blocks to it. You can't lock it in there. Block can only be on the block grid, no matter what. So I'll give up on this a little bit and go ahead and just move it back over. Yeah, the only way to have the track dead center, or the lift itself dead center, is I would have to have a center block down in the middle, but I don't have, right? And so, in other words, make this like the whole ship would have to be split and put one more block in the middle, so I have a single block as a center line for the vehicle, and then I can line that up on the center point. But then everything else, like all the other components, would have to be moved over a little bit. And you gotta get right on there. And it turns into, I'm going to have to back away. Now I can do this multiple times. I don't have to do this in one shot. I can just do some and do some more and do some more and do some more. There is a limit. I think it's a pretty big limit how big a track can be. It's like 250 blocks or something like that. Just try and do it in one shot. All right, so try it one more time. What I should probably do is first figure out how long it has to be. Once I know how long it has to be, then I don't have to actually see the end because I just kind of watch the measurement in the screen there. All right, so we don't have to go down. We don't really have to go up any, but actually we do have to go up. Give us a little flexibility. Now we're going to lower this down. This will be the piece that moves. And I got a docking port. Docking ports are made with common elements. I was worried that required something a little more exotic. Try and get it on the edge there. Now, what you can do is you just go ahead and put some more blocks down and then place it and then remove the blocks. If you just, so you add blocks for help get it where you want to put it and then remove the extra blocks. All right, so that looks good enough. Something like that. All right, so we can do this manually. We can just type in the numbers. And the manual only works if you're in servo mode. When you take it out of servo mode, you won't have a prompt for the manual. Go down. Yeah, it's probably a little too conservative. I'm trying to lower it down and not bash it. Not sure what that would do to the G-force on the cargo unit there. Yeah, the collision between stuff like this is not really in the game. So all right, reasonably close enough. Once again, I'm not sure how close you have to be from the dock. Well, we're getting to the end of this video, and so until next time, see ya.